where together in the next 1 hour, try and conceptualize a new D2C brand from scratch.
India in the next 10 years will have thousands of new brands. So the opportunity is mind-boggling.
Which one excites you the most?
I love fashion and apparel actually.
So we are going after the Hugo Boss of India. Now, what kind of a personality would you want this brand to have?
I would maybe find a brand partner. Almost a co-founder who matches that vibe.
Who's that in India right now?
Ranveer.
So, Ranveer Singh?
Yeah, he's eclectic.
How do we create this anticipation that this new brand is coming in?
Hinting but not revealing. Some of the things you can plan. Social media is moment marketing, which means you have to be alert to all the moments around you and lean in as soon as you see it happening because it's going to be gone in a flash.
Distribution, would you sell online?
A store, just one store, which itself is eclectic.
I think Shark Tank is the right platform for something as premium as what we are thinking to launch on.
Yeah, great question. The battle is not for the consumer's wallet. That comes second, much, much later.
How do you think about being a single co-founder?
Co-founders are like a marriage, so you should select very carefully. Listen to this very carefully, okay? Don't have an ego, be humble. It's the shittiest advice in the world for anybody starting out. I'm not going to invest in him. He's unreasonable. He's an build great companies. Entrepreneurship cannot be outsourced, guys. If it was, everybody would do it.
So everybody knows Anupam. He does not need an introduction. For those of you who are not from India, he started perhaps the biggest matchmaking platform in India. And how many marriages probably would have happened through your platform?
About 8 million.
8 million. So that's 8 million, 80 lakh marriages. Go for it. That would have led to how many offspring?
So that's what I was going to say. The way we think about it is about maybe a few people here who are a result of Shaadi.com.
You know, you asked the right question. How many of them are trying to build a business?
Yeah.
All of them are. And many of them are building D2C brands, right? Many of them. And they always ask us this question, Pratham, how do we know what to build? What is India right for? What is India ripe for? So today we're going to do a small exercise.
Okay.
Where together in the next 1 hour, we're going to try and conceptualize a new D2C brand from scratch.
Okay.
You have funded over 500. How many companies have you funded by now?
Some 330, 40, 350, something
350. We didn't end up funding any together.
We tried.
We tried. Money. I tried to convince him, but he didn't agree.
I was saving my money to fund these guys.
All right, you've said it on camera. Before we jump into this, now since you got on this topic, tell me a little bit about the first 30 days of People Group of Shaadi.com. What were they like? Did you always know that you were going to do this?
No, actually, no. These stories. Okay, let's define some. Things have changed. Today, building is more deliberate, right? Because you are connected, you have access to a lot of information. It's very competitive. So if you're not deliberate, you will lose your way. So today you have to start by answering a lot of questions. In my time, when I was building, it was not so deliberate. And honestly, people say you must have a big vision, you must have a big plan, you must really feel for a problem. Aisa kuch nahi tha. I believe, or at least in my case, you need to be a little restless, opportunistic, very hungry, and a little cocky and naive. If you are not these things, building a company becomes really, really hard. And you have to stay. जो हमारे हिंदी में एक word बोलते हैं date. English, the closest approximation is stubborn, right? Stubborn as a donkey. You have to be stubborn as a donkey to be able to persevere for 10, 15 years. So in my case, honestly, मेरा इतना ही था that I didn't want to be just another number or a name tag in somebody's office. I felt I wanted to do something different and create a name for myself.
But no, tell me, what were the first 30 days like? So when you decided that you're going to build this, how did you go about validating it? I guess that's not something you did. You were opportunistic about it. But then how did you build the team? How did you figure out the branding? When did you buy the domain name? What were those times like?
So a lot of the early decisions, to be very honest with you, the big decisions were very instinctive in nature. right? There was no large-scale studies. Look, I believe that data can tell you what is happening, right? But instinct will tell you what will happen. So when you're trying to create something new, especially when it comes to new categories, new business models, it's too early and data just doesn't serve the purpose. Right. Also, I wasn't particularly data friendly at that point. So to me, when I started out, I actually started moonlighting. I had a job in the US. I was making six figures. I was doing really well. My job had led me to rise very quickly in the company, and we went from being a $100 million market cap company to 40 billion in 2 years. So I was a multi-millionaire in my early 20s. And so I had a lot of money. And I realized that, look, let's hire a team in India. I was here on vacation. And I happened to meet a matchmaker. Some of you guys will relate with that because you're Indian. In India, for those of you who don't know, people start talking about your marriage from the time you're 6 or 7 years old. It's really weird, but that's how we are. It's very culturally resonant. And so this gentleman came to meet me pretending to be my dad's friend. Turned out he was a matchmaker, which I figured out quickly. And I just told him, I said, why are you trying to sell this to me? Just give me all the resumes you have. Let's put it on the internet. So that's how the idea was born. He, of course, took off, ran away, never saw his face again. But we went ahead with that because I had hired 3 designers and 5 engineers. And my total payroll was $50,000, about $1,000 a month. And I was earning 6 figures and I was a multi-millionaire, so that didn't matter. So they were just experimenting, and then at night or on the weekends from the US, I used to be on chat with them, let's build this, let's build that. So we built about 10, 20 different sites. We started doing IT services for other companies. At some point, I realized that, look, this makes no sense, this won't scale, let's double down. We saw some signals that Shaadi.com was really working well. Right? People were starting to pay for it. People were buying subscriptions. That was like a moment which said, oh, people are going to pay for this, so let's stop the IT services. Let's double down on this. Again, very instinctive. And it worked. When that scaled, we launched Moj Mobile, in one of India's early gaming companies. We launched Makaan.com, which we sold, one of India's early property marketplaces. And so some of it was instinctive. I'll give you one more instance. During that time, we actually launched as Sagai.com.
Sagai means engagement.
Sagai means engagement. Well, if I ask you 5 people to spell Sagai, you all will give me 5 different spellings, right? It's not a word that sits very comfortably as a brand. So at some point, I said, look, we need to flip to a brand that once you hear of it, you can never forget. And I looked out for this domain, and somebody had this domain, and he wanted $25,000.
For Shaadi.com.
For just the domain, right? This is after the .com crash. Nobody was paying even $10 for a domain, right? All we had was $25,000 after doing all those IT services. And so I tried to negotiate with him, but the guy wouldn't budge. Very instinctive decision. Screw it, let's do it. And that changed a lot of things for us because it suddenly became like this familiar word that, of course, I've heard of it, right? Almost it stands for the category, right?
All right, so let's start with our D2C exercise.
All right, let's do it.
So majorly there are these following categories in D2C. Which one excites you the most? FMCG, consumer durables, fashion apparel, home living, beauty and personal care. Which ones excite you, which ones don't, and why? We'll just have a freewheeling conversation. We can start with, let's say, fashion and apparel. When you see a fashion and apparel company, what do you feel? Kya ye chalega, nahi chalega? India mein bahut competition. It's too much competition in India.
I love fashion and apparel, actually. It's a great category. And it's highly unbranded in India. I wrote a few years back that India in the next 10 years will have thousands of new brands. So the opportunity is mind-boggling. And one of my pet peeves has been, why is there only one Zara in the world? Like Zara's playbook is pretty obvious by now, right? And that's what we are seeing today. All the fashion brands that are building in India have pretty much replicated Zara's playbook. The Chinese company did that on a digital Shein, right? They did that, took Zara's playbook and replicated it digitally. Right? And now we are seeing several Indian brands, Snitch, a company that we committed to on Shark Tank, which has done incredibly well. And so I love fashion. The hard thing about fashion is the mortality rate is very high because it is an operational excellence game. People a lot of times think about it as a style or design game. It's really not. Not in the way fast fashion works. You're really building a lot of designs, putting them out there, seeing what works. You're putting small quantities so you don't have inventory and doubling down on what's working and removing whatever's not, right? So it's really about operational excellence.
And what about more consumer durables, right? Coffee machines and watches and stuff like that.
I'll give you a very good example about consumer durables, not of a brand, but about a distributor. I just was talking to Nilesh Gupta of Vijay Sales. For those of you who don't know, Vijay Sales is like a 3-4 decade old electronics consumer durables distributor, which started with one store in Bombay, I think. Today they have almost 200 stores. Each store does about 50 to 70 crores in revenue a year. They're at 12,000 crores in revenue. They own 70% of their stores themselves. They're not public, completely privately held. If they went public, it would be tens of billions of dollars in my view, given the cash flow they're generating, or close to 10. So they've done remarkably well in the consumer, and they've been written off, not once, not twice.
Really?
Every 5 years they're written off, right? Not anymore, but last time when the internet exploded, they're like, oh, this is done.
People are gonna...
Right? But because of their commitment to customer service and their distribution power, they've held on. The problem I have with consumer durables is you have to almost have a portfolio approach, right? Because to keep the brand alive in the user's mind, I need to be relevant to you multiple times in a year. If I just create one consumer durable, it's really, really hard. Of course, with social media, things have changed a little bit, but it's really hard being relevant to you. Like if I'm just making washing machines, you'll buy it once in your life, maybe twice. How do I be relevant at that particular moment? It becomes really, so I have to build a portfolio of brands and then keep that brand alive in your mind. So when you want to buy a washing machine, you also think of me. So I think that's the struggle. Frequency is very low. I prefer businesses with higher frequency because you can establish a long-term relationship with your customers.
Like one of the brands I have seen grow very fast in the last 5-6 years is Atomberg.
Atomberg,
They make
right.
fans,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
And fans is something you essentially buy once when you're building your home.
Yeah.
You don't change as much, but they've still grown quite a bit.
Remarkably,
Right? What do you think they've done differently?
Yeah, I think from what I know, and I don't know a lot to be honest, but I know that there were two things they did differently. One is they took actually a few things. One is they took a very boring category where there was very little innovation and they actually changed the technology, I think.
BLDC, yeah.
Right? So they use a completely different technology which consumes less power. Not that fans consume a lot of power. But I think the real breakthrough was they did a lot of B2B distribution, right? That's where they built their foundational scale, after which they had the margins and the scale to then brand only fans. And now, of course, they're getting into other categories. So I think that was the kicker for them.
Distribution became their mode.
Exactly. Because without that, it would have been really hard to build a consumer fan brand. Right?
So either you have a very strong brand or you have a large product line, or you just are the kings of distribution.
Yeah, you nail down B2B or something which is giving you the platform to be able to spring ahead.
Let's build a product. I feel fashion and apparel, just knowing from where students are also coming from.
Oh, really?
Should we double on that?
Yeah, we could do that.
Fashion and
You
apparel?
won't find white spaces though, but okay, let's do it.
But you have to build a brand, right? So
Okay.
everyone cool with that? We also, all of you can open your phones. I will not penalize you guys. Don't worry. All right. And build the brand along as we are speaking about the brand. Okay. Go to Nano Banana, go to Lovable.
Why can't they pick two? Why can't somebody do FMCG and somebody do fashion?
Because we will do fashion together.
Right.
We'll pick up as a case study and
Right.
we'll build that fashion brand.
Okay.
Right. So you guys do your thing. At the end, we will actually, you'll send the link to an email address and then we'll actually showcase your brands here. Okay. If we get the time, that is. So in apparel,
Okay.
what subcategory would excite you? Casual wear, athletic wear, ethnic wear, inner wear, footwear, Gen Z wear, elderly wear, travel wear.
Wow. I like them all. They're different days, you want different stuff, right?
No, but like, okay, if you have to build a brand today you say, "Yaar, ek aur, we have to build another brand in fashion." What would excite you?
I think what would be interesting is, and we can pick a category, is a brand that has appeal, premium pricing,
Premium pricing.
right? And can evoke strong loyalty, right? So, for example, people who were Hugo Boss, right, and maybe not a lot of people here, will swear by Hugo Boss. They don't buy anything else. A lot of their shopping is done at Hugo Boss. People who buy, what's that? Polo t-shirts, right?
Correct.
US Polo or whatever. They swear by that. I don't see so much of that loyalty in
In
India.
Indian brands, yeah.
Why is that? I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Let's
to that
deconstruct
question.
that.
Yeah.
Let's figure.
Right. So is that because they've been around for so long? That could be one reason.
Is it our colonial hangover that whatever is sort of Western is what will appeal to us, and whatever is Indian may not so much?
But why would Snitch and other companies be doing so well?
But they're not premium pricing, right?
They're not premium pricing. So for premium, that's a good, interesting.
That's an interesting. It's a
problem
good
to solve.
challenge. Yeah.
That's a good challenge. It's a good
Absolutely,
challenge.
yeah.
Can you build a premium men's brand
From India,
from India
for India,
for the world,
or for the world,
right? Which evokes strong desire, relatability, and loyalty. Right? At premium price points.
That's awesome. So, got it. Men's or women's?
Let's stick to men's.
Let's stick to
because
men's.
Though men Mittal बैठे हैं, तो women's का इतना I wouldn't understand.
Got it. So we are going after the Hugo Boss of India.
Yeah, I think men. There are women potential founders here, and we're talking about doing something for men. But that women understand men, and men understand men.
Yeah. And women buy for men.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So implied in that is men will never understand women. So therefore, let's focus on the men's.
Got it. Got it. So understood. So we have chosen that category of Hugo Boss premium menswear. Now, what kind of a personality would you want this brand to have? Would you want it to have a Hugo Boss, Ralph Lauren minimalist kind of a personality, or would you want it to have like an Indian ethnic nature, or how would you decide the brand personality? Let me put it that way.
I would say like an eclectic brand.
Interesting. So eclectic meaning diversified.
Yeah, eclectic meaning it's different. It's got some unique thing
Personality
to it.
trait.
Yeah, very, very differentiated, unique. It could marry kurta with certain type of Western pants. So it's eclectic.
So not
It's
your usual,
not
your usual
not
white
your
shirt,
usual-
white
that's
pant.
right.
Not this basically.
We're not doing office wear. Did we decide
No,
on
we
office?
didn't, we
didn't
didn't.
decide on office.
No.
So I think eclectic is good.
That means every product or every
Yeah.
product line has some personality.
There has to be a vibe. There has to be some embellishment that
Some story that-
stands out. And maybe if that embellishment is different for different lines, but there's a part of it which is common across. So
There's a thread,
There's so you can tie it together. Then it becomes instantly
Correct.
something you can talk about or relate to or identify, which is very important for a brand, right?
Super interesting. Got it. And so in that case, the right distribution or the right launch strategy would be to have a few drops, right? Keep it limited edition. That okay, this story is only relevant to these, let's say, 100 units that I'm going to drop this week one. Do you feel that makes sense, or am I getting ahead of myself?
You're getting ahead.
Got too excited.
No, I think I would. Everybody's doing that, right? You have to think differently. How do you launch it so that it creates curiosity, it creates desire, it creates anticipation. It can't just be a drop. The drop should happen after that.
That should be a step before the drop.
Yeah, and for
Do we use
that-
Bollywood? Do we use cricket?
Exactly. So we need to, if you want to break through, and you used Kapila's example for underneath, That's a good strategy. And she spent a lot of time building anticipation for the brand. Right? A lot of the stuff was building up for several weeks, if not months, about this thing coming, something's coming. I don't even think in the earlier ones she spoke about the product. And then slowly they started revealing that, right? So I would maybe find a brand partner, so give them equity, or
Okay.
bring them as a co-owner, because here's the problem with all the fashion stuff, as I was saying earlier. Very, very hard. Firstly, differentiation, and even after you differentiate, to create awareness. So if you have a partner who's deeply vested,
And who matches that
who's
vibe?
almost a co-founder, who matches that vibe, who reflects that vibe.
Who's that in India right now?
I think
Anyone that comes to anyone's mind?
Ranveer.
So, Ranveer Singh?
Yeah, he's eclectic.
Kartik?
Kartik Aaryan is not eclectic, is he?
Yourself,
I love
all right.
you, man. You got it. I was hoping. I was looking for
There we go,
Boli
okay.
nahi raha hai.
No, absolutely. Actually, that's a great idea. So, how do we create this anticipation? What do you do tomorrow to create this anticipation that this new brand is coming in?
Okay, now that we are talking, if you're talking about me, right? People generally, there's always a question when I meet people or even on social media, everywhere I go, what are you doing now? Because I'm constantly doing stuff.
Right.
Right. So like I've built 3-4 companies. We built also, if I want to mention, India's largest digital ad agency, which is still India's largest digital ad agency. We sold it to IPG. But so I'm always doing different things and building. So there's always this curiosity that ye kuch na kuch to kar raha hoga. Right. So you could play on that, somehow create anticipation around that.
Okay.
About showing funny and interesting stuff about my frustration, but without revealing with what. Hinting, but not revealing.
Hinting, but not
Walking
revealing.
into a store and storming out. So it's not clear what's going on. And then leading into, we should do something.
Got it.
So we have to build that. One great example of iconic right now social media stuff that is happening is what Amir Khan is doing. I don't know if you caught the latest reel today. There's a movie coming out called Happy Patel. Happy Patel.
The Veer Das.
Veer Das.
Veer Das, yeah.
So it's about him and Veer Das, right? He's basically subjugating him. Now the latest one that has come out is he's roped in Sunil Grover, who pretends to be Amir. I think it dropped this morning. It's going viral already. So really great way to build. And now today they started showing clips of the film. So they've really been building this up for the last month or so. And now that the film is launching on 16th, they're revealing more. And the Sunil Grover thing happened very opportunistically because he imitated him on a show and he did it so well.
Oh, I see. Got it.
A week
okay,
back,
okay,
he
got it.
went, pulled him in, shot it, scripted it, and it's launched today. This was not conceived more than a week back. So I think you have to, some of the things you can plan, but some of the things you have to do opportunistically. Social media is moment marketing, which means you have to be alert to all the moments around you and lean in as soon as you see it happening because it's going to be gone in a flash. Right? And so some things you can plan, some things we have to just be open to and go with the flow.
Got it. No, I think the launch plan is clear in my head. It makes a lot of sense.
And then finally, just the day before its launch, you could show me in a Shark Tank type of situation, but I'm not the shark, I'm the pitcher. So
All right, that's
could
a
be
good
an
one.
interesting
Yeah.
one, right? So I'm the pitcher now, and I'm talking about this new product.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right, I think that's a great launch idea.
Innovative, creative.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. But I mean, you're pitching a very premium 20,000 rupee t-shirt brand, right? We discussed that it's going to be very premium. It's going to inspire loyalty.
Yeah,
If
I
it
think
comes-
20 grand would probably be
Too much.
Too much. I think we could go to somewhere between 7 to 10K,
7,000 to 10,000.
which is still very premium.
And so you have to give out that premium feel in your product, in your store, in your brand.
Absolutely.
You think Shark Tank is the right platform for something as premium as what we are thinking to launch on?
Yeah, great question. What are you trying to say?
I have vested interest now, so I'm not trying to say anything.
Yeah, I think Shark Tank is a platform for any type of businesses. So we've had luxury businesses and so on. So I think that's okay as a launch, just to create the curiosity. Why is he pitching? So when I'm thinking about getting attention, so what is the battle today, right? The battle is not for the consumer's wallet. Right? That comes second, much, much later. The battle is for the consumer's attention. We are now in an attention economy. I mean, I can see most of you are right now not giving me your full attention, and I'm battling for it. But
No,
the
they're
phone,
making the thing. Yeah.
Okay, but some of you are probably on your phone, and that's fine. That's because somebody's doing a better job at drawing your attention. Right? And that's the battle. That's the game. So when I'm thinking about launching, I'm saying, how do we get attention? And that's the battle to be won. So I'm just, on the spot, I'm just churning out some. Why don't you guys come up with a few creative ideas?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
please.
Anybody? Yeah.
What can we do?
Go ahead. Yeah.
So my idea was
Anyone.
So I was going to say, since there was a lipstick brand where Siddharth Malhotra did the campaign, so we can start with female attention, which who would talk about like men as well. Like let's say Sonam and Riya who could come, and they are fashion icons, so they could just start that, and they are luxury brands.
What a great idea. Fantastic. Yeah. Women talking about why men are dressed so badly is pretty cool. I like it. Because men will take notice of that. Oh, I'm not desirable. You know the point I was talking about earlier.
So actually using women in your campaign.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Let's also talk about now the distribution. Right? We spoke about distribution being a very tough thing, and we'll come to operations next. In distribution, how would you make stores right off the bat? Would you sell online? If online, then what kind of online platforms would you sell on? Would you sell on your own website just? Or store from day one?
Yeah, for something like that, and again, I'm going with instinct right now. I don't have data, but I would probably launch a store. And I would launch just one store, right? An iconic store, which itself is eclectic.
Which itself is there.
Right? It has to be eclectic.
It's like a museum almost.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly. Right? It has to reflect the brand. And I would maybe even for some time make it appointment based only. So you can only come into the store if you have an appointment, right? And we'd tie up with models. Fortunately, my wife is an ex-model. So we know all the top models of the country. Or so we know the industry, right? So we'd go, and even if you didn't, you tie up with Bollywood people and models and opinion makers. Make it appointment driven, but have paps clicking them going in and out. Right? I would keep
Seed that initial customer base.
I would keep this going for a few weeks before you open it up.
Yeah, like in the middle of BKC, Bandra somewhere, or in Emporium Mall.
Yeah, right. Maybe not a mall if you want to make it exclusive and eclectic initially. Maybe a standalone store. And
like the Apple Store, which is iconic its own way. The location itself, the architecture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then create this anticipation. Where are these people? What how do I get in?
So you have to get an invite from somebody to
That's right.
shop at the store.
That's right.
And online you can only see the styles, you can't order.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't even show too much online. I would show a little bit, but not as a product catalog. I would not show the product catalog initially at all online. I would maybe show, these images, silhouettes where you can see something, you can't see it, you can see it. Somebody walking down the ramp, there's dark light,
Just
dark.
keep the anticipation
Just
online.
keep the mystery alive, right?
Get the people
and
in.
then, like he was saying, Sonam or somebody's walking out, or some other guy is walking out, or whatever we can afford. Basis that you launch it.
Very interesting. What are some early words that come to your mind? Things about your life, right? Things that mean something to you.
Ah, God. this naming thing is really tough.
Do you know which village you're from?
I find that, I always say, it's like naming a child, right? You are going to do it only once. So I tell people, take your time, man. Don't be in such a hurry to name your brand. And now we are sitting on a stage here and we have to figure it out in a few minutes.
So it has to be something Indian, some story. There has to be some layer to meaning to it, right?
Yeah, it has to be nuanced.
It has to be nuanced. Now let's talk about operations. We mentioned about Shein, we mentioned about Zara. How would you go about the manufacturing of this? How would you go about the distribution of this? So would you want, every week you're coming up with new designs, the way Shein does, limited edition, this and that? Or would you want the product to stay on the shelf for a long time, create some of those iconic designs, and they stay forever, like Chanel, for that, How would you think about that? What strategy in marketing?
Yeah, I'm not thinking fast fashion for this. And you guys feel free to contribute and add on, because as I said, fast fashion is really an operations game.
Yeah.
One of the things that I believe and that I'll share with you is it's important to know your strengths and what you enjoy, right? Particularly today that we are all being more deliberate about building. During my dad's time, it was really about opportunity. It was really about poverty of choice, right?
Yeah.
Now we have to build, your generation has to build with the strength of passion, right? And passion comes when you play to your natural strengths, which things that just flow, right? There's a term called flow. I'll tell you, a silly little side story, right? You must know this, some of the Indians here will know it because it's an old parable. The frog and the scorpion, have you guys heard of it? The scorpion goes to the frog on the river and he says, can you get me across? The frog says, I would, but he said, I'll get on your back. He said, but you will bite me. And, he said, and I'll drown. He said, but that's silly. If I bite you and you drown, I'll drown too. So why would I do that to myself? Frog says, yeah, makes sense. So get on my back. Halfway through the river, what does the scorpion do? Bites the frog. Frog says, ouch, I knew you would do this. Now what have you done? We're both going to die. He said, I know. He said, but why did you do it? He says, because meri fitrat hai. It's in my nature. Right? So even though I know I'm going to die, I can't help but do it. So the reverse of that is also true. So don't kill yourself because of that. But the point I'm trying to make is if you play to your nature, and so manufacturing and that fast fashion and that operation, that's become a highly optimized ops game. If I have a building, it's not for me, right? I don't want to spend the next 10 years optimizing operations. And that's what this is going to be about. I would rather build desirability.
Which is what comes naturally to you.
Which is what comes naturally to me. Right. And because I believe that margins come from desirability, right? I don't want to ask questions like, how do I eke out the last dollar from this business? I want to enjoy such high margins that I never have to think about capital and money. Right? So ideally I want businesses, like even if you look at the businesses that we've built, they have negative working capital. You know what that means, anybody?
You're getting paid upfront.
You're getting paid upfront, right? So in a lot of customer businesses, you get paid upfront and your vendors give you credit, which means you never need working capital, right? You have no accounts receivable as a result. So you're never chasing debtors for money, which means you can focus on your customers.
You're not playing at the margin.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not playing at the...
So that's what works for me. Now, something else might work for you. आपको अपनी फितरत समझना है. You have to understand your nature that comes to you naturally. And if you play on that, that takes you further along in a highly competitive world.
But when you're 18, 19, 20, how do you know your nature? How do you know your fitrat?
Yeah.
I mean, I've made that mistake, I think. I'm a very social person. I love to be around people. And my first 10 years, I was doing a software company where I was locked inside a room for 16 hours a day for 10 years, right? I never felt myself. And after those 10 years only did I realize I need to be in a people's.
Yeah, you are in your element. I mean,
So
you smile more than anybody I know. So clearly, you
Yeah.
have found your fitrat,
Fitrat,
right? Or
yeah.
you're playing to your strengths, which is great. But you're right. When you're 18 or 19, how do you know that? And I think it's really about experimentation. You have to try, you kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince, right? Girls would understand that. So you have to, try a few things, see what gets you going. So the big test is, right? And this changes over long periods of time, of course. But generally speaking, you should wake up with a spring on your step and wanting to get to work and start working on that problem, right? If that's happening to you more often than not, you're probably in the right track, right? What excites you? Sometimes you can't tell, right? Like when I was talking about a few different things, I was a little confused because you're the worst judge of yourself, but he could tell that you got most excited about fashion. Maybe he had another agenda, but at least the point is that your friends can tell what you're excited about. Talk to them, ask them to describe you. Right? What
That's
lights you
a
up,
great point actually.
because we're very bad at judging ourselves, knowing what's right, what's wrong, or what we're good at or what we're bad at. But our friends are very good. They see it right away.
That's a great question. You should talk to people and ask them what do they think my
What are
nature
my
is.
strengths? What are my problems? I mean, it's tough because their good friends will tell you all your problems, right? But you might zero in on something.
Let's shift gears a little bit. You've met so many different founders, and even on Shark Tank, etc. So, what have you noticed as a pattern, right, that differentiates founders that usually end up doing well versus ones that you see don't do well? What are some of those patterns you've seen emerge over a period of time, if any? And it could be that there is no pattern; everyone's sort of themselves.
No, there are clear. I think let's put the businesses aside, correct? Because those have different variables, and you could win or lose because of the variables in the business. Sometimes markets are shitty. Sometimes various other things are not working. Timing is off. Government regulation happens. So let's leave that aside. Let's look at individual attributes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's where we should go with this. Look, I think a lot of people will tell you, and listen to this very carefully, okay? I don't want you to take away the wrong message. This is extremely important, at least from my experience, and I could be wrong. So listen to me, but discard it if you don't think it's valuable, okay? A lot of people, most people will tell you, don't have an ego, be humble. It's the shittiest advice in the world for anybody starting out. Akkad honi chahiye. You have to have ego. You have to want to prove the world wrong. You have to be naive. Unless you have all that, you're not going to build. Because the odds are stacked against you. I built because I was cocky. I was building since I was 13 years old. Some business or the other. Because I was cocky. I believed, and I failed 10 times, but I still kept feeling it's somebody else's fault that I failed. Right? You have to be delusional. You ask any actor in Bollywood, the ones who made it, why they made it. Because they're delusional. After 10 years of not getting any work, they kept telling themselves they're the best thing in the world. Right? So, you have to have that ego that pushes you forward. Right? And that hunger that keeps you going to prove yourself. But that's very different from entitlement. It's a subtle difference, but just pay attention to it. Maybe we won't get all the nuances today, but when you think about it. Entitlement, in my view, is the most unintelligent form of ego. Right? Entitlement means like the world owes me something. So, I'm going to get it anyway. And you stop thinking clearly when you feel entitled. But ego is, I am better than this. That I'm going to go get this or build that. I am better than everybody here. And that's why I'm going to go build this. And that's okay, right? Maybe it'll take 20 years to learn humility, and that's fine. If in 20 years you build something great, humility can come later. Don't worry about it, right? Be humble when it comes to learning, but don't worry about these. That's what.
Give me an
believe.
example of a founder.
Yeah.
Who sort of who is that other than yourself?
Yeah.
Who you've found to have that ego.
There is no. If you're not unreasonable and cocky, most of the founders in India who've built are like that. Ab kisi ka bhi bol lo aap. The ones who end up failing are the ones who start feeling entitled and cross the line over into criminality, right? Without taking names. But if you look at any of the big success stories, they're all, hey, forget entrepreneurs. For crying out loud, the leader of the free world is the biggest egomaniac in the world.
It's a great example. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So ego can really push you forward. Right? What you do with it, good or bad, is really up to you. So I think that's one thing that I see. A lot of time people say, oh, I'm not going to invest in him. He's unreasonable. He's an asshole. Assholes build great companies. It's true.
But do they push people away? Like, is it tough for them to build good teams? Is it coming from a nice guy?
This view that a happy family builds a great company is flawed. It's not true. Right? It's not true. If you are an asshole but you're long-term greedy and you have your self-interest, you're not going to push away the people who are doing the stuff for you, who are helping build the business. Then you are that unintelligent, entitled guy. You're in the wrong bucket. That's the nuance.
So smart ego.
Yeah, absolutely, right? But these are the guys who build great companies, right? And at some point they come around. It's not like they always remain like that. They learn, right? Even if Steve Jobs, the biggest icon of, entrepreneurship and building, towards the last few years of his last decade of his life, he had really come around.
Yeah.
Right? So eventually life will teach you humility, whether you like it or not. Right? You will get there. So therefore you don't have to look for it. Okay? Eventually you will learn it. So that's one attribute.
But someone, let's say, comes on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Right? And you're trying to give that person feedback. And that person is like, no, boss. Like, I know what I'm talking about. You don't know what you're talking about.
I love it. I love conviction. And I am doing this when I'm saying do this, do that. I'm testing you. If you are agreeable to everything I'm saying, I'm not funding you. I'd rather build that business myself. Right? You must have a strong point of view. You could be wrong. Right? One of the things I say a lot is always have very strong opinions, but loosely held. You know what that means? If somebody provides you or somebody gives you a better argument or better data, you can reflect upon it and change your position. Right? So, if new facts emerge, your point of opinion should change. So, strong, but if you don't have a strong opinion, you're simply agreeable. You're a people pleaser. I don't want to invest in people pleasers. Right? People pleasers don't make it. And therefore, when you're not a people pleaser, what do people call you? An asshole. So that's the other thing I would say. I think one more thing is intellectual honesty. That's really, 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 really hard. So that's kind of two sides of the same coin, intellectual honesty and transparency. You can't really, when I'm on Shark Tank, I can't really tell if the person is intellectually honest because it's too less time. But the proxy for me is transparency. So when I ask you a question, we can all understand. We know when somebody is packaging stuff for us or lying to us. We know when somebody is very, even if we may not call it out. So transparency becomes very critical.
I've noticed that when someone's very open about their flaws, they say, "Mujhe nahi aata accounting, mujhe nahi aata."
That's right. That's
And
fine.
You love that, yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. We don't all know things, but at least you know what you don't know. The biggest crime is being arrogant and ignorant. Being arrogant is okay. Being ignorant might be okay. But being both is a sin, right? Because you don't even know what you don't know.
All right. On that note, I'm going to open it up to questions. I see a lot of hands like doing this to me. But go ahead, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. So I'm a big mindset person as well. Like I've been
You're a
raised
big what?
mindset person. Like I think having
Mindset
a good
person.
mindset
Got it.
is like really important to succeeding, right?
Yeah.
However, that's kind of where you and I differ because I believe that being humble is everything, right? And maybe that's the way I've been raised in my background. But I also agree with you that sometimes it's good to be like an a-hole, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know how to foster that environment because I've always tried to be as humble as possible, right? How do I become an asshole?
Yeah. Okay, look, if you're walking away from here saying you should all become an asshole to run a successful company, that's not what I'm saying. Okay? What I'm saying is people who build great outcomes are often seen as assholes and unreasonable, right? Because they have a point of view which differs from the consensus. And anytime you're different from the consensus, you can be perceived as that, right? You're a student right now. Being humble is not a bad thing by itself. But when the stakes are high and you're trying to build a company, let's say, and you want this incredible outcome, let's say you want to build, what do you want to build? Why am I assuming?
So this is my team, right?
Okay,
and
great.
we're trying to go into the cosmetics industry. So we're
Okay.
trying to combine skincare with makeup to
Nice.
make makeup healthy for women.
I love it. That's great. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So let's say you want to build the first billion-dollar company combining makeup with skincare.
Right.
You are going to be tested around whether you are more hungry to achieve that purpose or you want to spend your time being nice to people. At that point, if you're hungry enough, you will automatically become an asshole. I don't have to give you inputs to become one. If you're not hungry enough, you will stay nice to everyone, but you won't achieve your purpose.
So being someone who has been a founder and an investor, what is this one mistake that you see first time founders repeatedly making and nobody's talking about it?
I think one is people deciding co-founders just because you like the same music.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
Everyone, please listen to this.
yeah, it's wonderful.
Somebody told me that co-founders are like a marriage, so you should select very carefully. And I reflected about that and I said, no. It's actually even more serious than that, because in a marriage, you spend maybe 2-3 hours with that person a day. Because when you're sleeping, you're not really spending time with that person. But as a co-founder, you spend like 4 times that time with that person, right?
Yeah.
So, and you're solving problems together constantly, which means you're probably at it all the time. So
And it's a stressful environment.
exactly, right?
Definitely, yeah.
And so I think I see a lot of founders who make this decision of starting a company with somebody they met 6 months back, or somebody, they was their cousin, and you end up paying a big price. I've experienced it, so I'm not just saying it from academic perspective. And you can end up paying a price that is, forget money, but it can cost you many years. And that is far more valuable than money. So I would say choose your co-founders carefully. The way to think about it, in my view, is your worldview should be very similar. What is a worldview? It is not skills, it is not the movies you like, or the things you like to do or you don't like. A worldview is, the world is abundant. That's a worldview. Somebody might think the world is scarce, and that's a very different worldview, and that manifests in the way you are, and the way you solve problems, and the way you think. And if you have different worldviews, it can often be...
The mindsets.
Yeah.
Mindset has to be
Right.
the way you think about things.
It's a little meta than that.
It's
a little higher level than that. Is what you think, right?
One problem I face with a lot
Yeah.
of students is that they feel that they can work better alone, right? That if there is a team, I have to carry them along, and there's freeloading, and there is
Yeah.
this and that,
Yeah.
right? And I get tired telling them it's very difficult to do it alone. How do you think about being a single co-founder versus having co-founders?
Yeah, look, it is really hard to do it alone. It's very hard. Let me tell you, so this is the second problem. I'll explain something to you very quickly. Right? A lot of founders I talk to, they have this view that I'm start this company, I'm going to build it for 4-5 years, and then I'm going to hire a CEO. I've heard this so many times. Right? I'm going to hire a VP, and then I'll just do ideas. Or I'll start my next thing. Entrepreneurship cannot be outsourced, guys. If it was, everybody would do it. For the next 20 years, you will be solving all the important problems of the business you start. So if you have a co-founder who has the same worldview, but complementary skills, not necessarily the same skills, because that becomes lethal, that's very valuable, you guys will solve problems far better than you would alone. If you think you'll hire a bunch of VPs, and which is another mistake founders make, they raise their first round and they hire 5 VPs. Within 6 months, they fire all 5. Okay, so yeah, that's did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell me about the co-founder and founder situation.
Yeah.
Right? Should, at this early stage, like 2 co-founders, 3 co-founders, this is literally what they're doing right now. They're doing co-found.
Ideally 2, maybe 3. 4 is too much, in my view. 1 is hard, but also can work. A lot of great companies have just 1 founder. Can work. But beyond 3 becomes really, really hard.
Yeah. So I had a follow-up question on being humble and all of that, because even I'm from a very humble family in that sense. And I have always faced this whenever I'm trying to change myself in a given situation where people have already seen me very humble. They don't let me. And it's like, it's always that, the pressure builds up from all of the environment that you're not able to change at that point of view. And same goes for business. When you have been humble, at a point when you're trying to voice your opinions, you're not able to do that. So how do you create that change for yourself, and how do you put yourself out there and make sure that you're being more heard and you change that?
Look, it's hard because, this is the problem, right? I'm going to give you a little, this is an important one. I was talking to Pratham and his wife, I forget her name.
Prachi,
of course. And she's also an educator. So we were just talking the other day. And I was saying how we don't teach kids how to make decisions and how to think in school. We teach them chemistry, biology, physics, so on, blah, 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 blah. The most important thing, it takes you bloody 40, 50 years to figure out how to make good decisions. Why can't we just teach that in school, right? It'll save a lot of people a lot of time. So let me try to tell you something based on the question that you asked. How do we make decisions, right? We make decisions based on, what do you guys think? How do we make decisions? Moral? Sorry? Beliefs, okay. Instinct, okay. Values. Okay, so basically, broadly speaking, you make decisions. A lot of your decisions are based on conditioning, which is, you were told, बड़ों के पैर छूना चाहिए, तो आप छूते हो. You don't question it. That is just conditioning. There's nothing else. You are not earning any karma points by doing. Okay, let's be clear. It is just conditioning. It's helping you back a little bit maybe, but other than that, nothing else is happening. Then there is ego. You make decisions out of ego. Somebody said something, and like on Shark Tank, sometimes we fight. So I decide to say something back to somebody. That's a decision. It's out of ego because somebody said something, I didn't like it, or vice versa. You make decisions out of intelligence. In business, you want to do that. You rationally put things together, and you say this is the best path. And you make decisions out of emotion. Something really important is happening at work today, but my daughter wants me to be at home, so I'm not going to go. That's an emotional decision. It's not a rational decision. We are all the time making decisions based on these four, or a combination of some of these factors. The problem is we just don't know what we are doing when. If you simply started thinking about your decisions and became aware of why you are making that decision, what is going on, you would probably make better decisions. So in your case, your need to be that humble and not break out of it is because probably of your conditioning. You said you come from a family of humble people. You can be humble and assertive at the same time. The assholes that I spoke about are probably also very humble. They're just seen as assholes because the world doesn't get them. Right? The question to you is this: do you want to please people? Is that the life you want? Or do you want to create something or build something or do something with your life?
Anupam, maybe like the right word is not even ego, but like very high conviction to the point of being unapologetic about it.
That's ego, right? How do you generate conviction in yourself, your abilities, at an age of 19, 20, unless you have ego? You certainly don't
You have to be a little bit delusional. You don't have all the data.
You don't have the wisdom.
So then how do you
You don't
find
have
that
the
conviction?
wisdom. So वो तो ego से ही आएगा.
Right. So the early stages, your ego cannot be fueled by conviction only.
It cannot, because that
has to be fueled by delusion.
Hunger,
Delusion,
whatever,
whatever.
right?
Yeah.
Your purpose is fueled by ego and hunger at the very early stage. So I think you should go and test some of those assumptions. And being assertive is not at all in conflict with being humble. Don't confuse the two. Right? Standing up for yourself is not at all in conflict with being humble. Because if you cannot do right by yourself, then it's not humility, my friend. It is sycophancy. It is pandering to other people. That's not humility.
You're just flowing with the flow.
Yeah, it's humility. That's not humility. First, do right by yourself. That's the biggest form of humility, isn't it?
All right, we'll take one last question right in the middle over there.
Okay, would you invest in a problematic product or something that could be problematic or problematic like under the lines? Because we want to sell something involving self-defense here in India, but it is illegal to market anything that could be used as a weapon. So we wanted to do something that's a little bit disguised in a normal everyday product that can be used as self-defense. Would you invest in something like that?
What is the product?
It's a purse, but it has like a metal rim. So at the end of the day, if you swing a purse at someone, it looks like it's just an accessory. It looks like it's just an applique. But at the end of the day, you know, that's what you're going to do with a purse if somebody comes at you. It looks stylish though.
I was gonna say I'd never invest in anything that's illegal. But then I remembered that I invested in Ola when it was illegal. So I can't even take that argument.
Interesting thought. I'll give that to you.
I would probably do this, right? I would evaluate it on its own merit without the legality aspects of it. And if it seemed like a very compelling proposition, I would try to figure out how to get around the legal hurdles. I think you guys are incredible. I do this because, not for you, but I do it for me. Because it keeps me young. I go away learning so much. The best way to learn, they say, is to teach, right? And really, I wasn't even teaching here. This was more of a conversation, reflecting on my own journey, going deep and talking about things that I wasn't prepared to talk about, or I wasn't given anything to talk about. It was just reflections and conversations. And that is a more powerful thing for me than it is for you. For you, some of these are words and you'll probably forget them. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.